unless you subscribe and like. All right, hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Grease Comedy YouTube channel. Today we're doing a little bit of a different video. I used to make Lord of the Rings content. I actually have made a Rings of Power video in the past, but we're revisiting it just because Rings of Power is getting a lot closer to being released. About a month out now as this video is being released, and I'm going to talk about why I'm not liking Rings of Power so far. I'm going to give this show a watch, but I don't have high expectations. I think House of the Dragon with Rings of Power right now, you're seeing a very different way of showing a TV show through the trailers. And we're going to break it down. I'm going to talk about my opinions on the latest Comic-Con trailer that was released for it. It was about a week ago, I think, at this point. As of you guys seeing this, maybe about 2 weeks at this point. But I'm going to explain some of the things I don't like about what they did. There's not a lot I liked about it so far, but I'm going to tell you a lot of the things I didn't like. So before we get into the video, if you guys like to like, subscribe, and comment, please do. It helps channel grow, raise your appeal that might like this content as well. Also, when House of the Dragon and Rings of Power do come out in the next month, I will be doing episodes either explaining them or breaking both of them down. I'm not sure how much I'm going to do on Rings of Power, just based upon my enjoyment of the actual show, or if there's things I want to talk about with the lore, things like that. So let's get into Rings of Power. And the one big focus I'm going to put into this video is there seems like there's a lack of focus, or they do not want to tell us what the actual story is. If you look at all the teaser trailers, this one is a 3-minute trailer. And if I was not someone that had a deep knowledge of kind of what happens in the Second Age, I'd have no fucking clue what's going on. The title says The Rings of Power, so we're assuming Sauron's involved just based on the title alone. But there's not really a villain shown, and the character that a lot of people thought was Sauron, which is like an Eminem lookalike, that's kind of what people are saying, is not actually Sauron. Now, if I had not known that information, and if I did not know who the actor who was possibly playing Sauron, I would have probably agreed too, because they paint this character in a very Sauron-esque light, right? And I'm glad this is not the character that plays Sauron, because it's not at all what Sauron's supposed to look like at this point, right? But there's no direction. The only thing they keep saying over and over again is there's a threat. Like, that's not interesting. I'm sorry. Like, it's not interesting. Like, what I believe this TV show is going to be on, I might be wrong on this. I don't have insider information. I don't have a bunch of information about what the season is going to be on. But I would assume if it's going to be about the Second Age and about Sauron, there's two major things they have to cover. So the first one is going to be Sauron's war with Numenor. So Sauron has, I believe, 2 wars that eventually Numenor ends up beating Sauron on. Sauron's defeated like 2 or 3 times, right? And Sauron, on I think it is the 3rd time, ends up just saying, screw it, I'm going to become a prisoner and destroy Numenor from the inside out. Now, one way or another, he ends up doing this. I'm not going to say how, just for, Rings of Power spoilers or whatever, if they even go that way. That ends up happening. So then the next shift or focus is going to be on the War of the Last Alliance, which is kind of the last war against Sauron leading into the War of the Ring. So those are the 2 major things, but you got to remember, these happen over thousands of years. So it's a very interesting concept. And the other thing I'm worried about is that the show doesn't actually have any of the rights to the Silmarillion, which is very odd because most of the information we know about the Second Age comes from that. So you're mixed with, there doesn't seem like there's a lot of focus in the trailers. We don't know what's going on. Where, very differently, House of the Dragon, we know exactly what's going on. Or not exactly, but we have a very clear understanding of what the directors want us to understand. That there's these two, that there's this king, they're having issues with succession, this character might become queen, or this character might become king, or whatever. There's even some misdirection going on. But you understand the main focus. Rings of Power has none. Like, there's no focus to this. They're very much going on a very bland, overused idea that there is a threat. Now, I'm not going to damn the show and just say it's going to be horrible. I know there's a lot of YouTubers that are straight up just being like, yeah, the show's going to be terrible, whatever. And I am of that opinion that I think it probably will be, but I'm willing to give it a chance. Right? I really dislike that they do not seem like they want to stick to Tolkien's writing. The lore that they've been choosing on either how they're portraying characters or they're going about things doesn't make any sense almost in a way, because these Harfoot characters, which the directors themselves have said are different than hobbits, which Harfoots are a subcategory of hobbits. There are like three main like groups. The hobbits are one, or the Harfoots are one. So the idea here is that Tolkien tells us that the hobbits have really done nothing earlier than the Third Age. So they're going to have an entire plot line about hobbits doing something, I'm assuming, when this doesn't happen. So we get into this area where the Rings of Power feels very contrived. It feels like they're making up their own story. It's really not accurate to Tolkien whatsoever, which, from what we've seen, has been very accurate. Galadriel is not a warrior princess like they're making her out to be. That's just not what her character is. She can be a strong female, but not be basically a man, which is weird to say. I thought that was pretty well established. Galadriel in the original Lord of the Rings is one of the most powerful characters in the entire like book series or movies. And they kind of forgot that, and they went, okay, she needs to be able to be a warrior type character. It's my problem with a lot of the things they're doing is this doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings. None of it feels like anything resembling Tolkien's world, whether that be based off of the books or Peter Jackson's movies. Neither. This feels like something that just isn't part of that, right? It feels like kind of a fan fiction type thing of a story of the Second Age, right? And there's other things that worry me, like seeing the Balrog, right? They do this at the end. It's the kind of the teaser for the show, I guess, at the very end. And I will say right away, if there is a Balrog actively used in the actual time frame they're trying to do it, and I'm not saying a flashback, then I'm just lost. Because, like, it's just not, it doesn't happen, right? The Balrogs are part of Melkor, or Morgoth, and they are kind of under him, and then once he falls, they kind of go into hiding, right? So we have Durin's Bane. He goes into hiding, and he's not seen from again until they awaken him, right? So when you get all these things, it's like, where is there going to be a Balrog in this show? Right. So when you come to this idea that all of the Balrogs, for the most part, were destroyed in the fall of Morgoth, outside of this one that we know comes up in the Third Age, where the hell are they coming? Like, this hopefully is a flashback. Hopefully it's a flashback to, like, Morgoth being defeated or something like that. But if it is actively in the show, or if it's a part of the show, or for some reason, you've just lost me, because the Balrogs are a very powerful entity that you can't just poof into the story whenever you want. Like, and that's my problem. Is there so many, if you want to nitpick the trailer alone and talk about the lore inaccuracies and things that are just not correct when it comes to Tolkien writing, you very easily can. Look, if you look at videos like Neurotic's video on this, or even other YouTubers, Critical Drink or whatever, all of them have done videos on this that you can pick it apart. At this point, I've gotten to the point, I'm kind of over it, where I'm just like, it's not going to be a real Tolkien adaptation faithful to the books like the Peter Jackson movies were, where they cut things out because it made sense, or they added things because it made sense. This is not going to be that. This is going to be kind of its own story that is loosely based upon the Silmarillion, even though they don't have the rights to it. So from that lens, I'm going to try and go with an open mind into Rings of Power, and hopefully they deliver a good story and it's not as politically driven as I think it's going to be. But yeah, I didn't even touch some of the other issues I had with, like, casting, how things look visually, as in, like, Elrond, just what? a lot of the elves just don't look right. The directors themselves are like, oh, all elves can look different. It's like, no, 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 no. Like the elves can like have different features on them, but they all have the same. Like the elves are very generic. Like they have like the long hair. They're very fair looking. The pointy ears. That's the thing. That's it. It's just like little, not even little things. I guess little things, but simple things like that. They're fucking up. Does not give me a lot of hope for the show. So I wanted to talk about in this video how not to do a series, or how to not do advertisement for the series. The series as a whole could maybe be fine or maybe even good. Doubt it, but it could. But you're giving just a bad taste. If you look at the reviews for the trailers, the dislike ratio to like ratio, it's not doing good. And I will say for Game of Thrones fans, A Song of Ice and Fire fans, this is very good. Because it's making House of the Dragon look even better. Let's say House of the Dragon's a 7 out of 10. If you can, with this coming out around the same time, if this is bad, it's going to make House of the Dragon look significantly better. So that's my thoughts. If you guys want me to do more videos on the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings as a whole, hell, we could, you know what we could do, guys? I just thought about this idea at the very end. If you guys really want to, we could do a watch party stream. Now, again, I'm not going to have like it up or anything, but I might like be watching it while we're on stream, and we could have some like drinking game, because we can make up like every time there's a lower inaccuracy thing, you take a shot, we'd be loaded after that. But kind of a little tangent out there at the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.